Good morning, YouTube. Irma has made her arrival in North Carolina, making it nice and wet. But a little rain is a far cry from what the people of Texas and Florida have experienced, so I'm not going to complain. As a matter of fact, I'm going to implore anybody who can to donate food or time or money or clothing to the rebuilding effort down there. So we don't know the total devastation that Irma's caused just yet, but it's not going to be good either way. But anyway, so this is the second video in this series where I explore basically, with me selling my Jeep Wrangler, everybody has asked me if I'm going to regret selling it or if I regretted selling it. And so I decided to make a quick video series about what vehicles in my nearly 20 years of ownership have I regretted selling. And there's not many, but there's three that I've come up with. And the first one, the last one I did, was about a car that I not necessarily regretted selling. I would have sold it either way, but that I should have owned it for longer. Because at least I didn't really ever, I didn't ever take the time to enjoy owning it. I sold it really quickly. So this video is about a car that I really wish I wouldn't have sold. I wish I still owned it. And it may seem like a silly car, and honestly, I could probably go pick one of these up today for what I consider to be chump change. But it doesn't necessarily fit my lifestyle right now. But if I owned it, then I would, if I still owned it, I definitely would keep it. And I'll be honest with you, at the time I sold it, I really just didn't, I just really thought it was time to move on. But then afterwards, I'm very whimsical about this car, and I just miss it. And that car is a 2002 SVT Focus. And if for some reason you're not familiar with the SVT Focus or the SVT line, SVT is Ford's special vehicles team. And they hot rod, such a turn, I don't know if that's a good phrase to use, but anyway, they hop up vehicles, and what they've done in the past is Mustangs. They were formed in 1993. The first car they did was a Mustang and an F-150. They had a SVT Cobra, and then they had a SVT Lightning. And the power wasn't really that much more than a normal vehicle, but they tuned the suspension, they gave it aerodynamic parts like side skirts and chin spoilers, and overall they just made a one-of-a-kind special vehicle. They limit production for each model for each year, but I owned a 1998 SVT Contour, which was a fantastic vehicle, highly underrated, literally probably the best example of a Contour there really was. In my dealership experience, I drove a couple of Contours, but the SVT was just refined in every way, and had a 2.5 V6 and a 5-speed manual. Just a lot of fun to drive, and you really couldn't beat it. But anyway, that car had a huge bang for its buck. But the SVT Focus, the 2002 SVT Focus, was bought after the SVT Contour, and I thought that car was a lot of fun. I mean, a lot of fun. And it didn't have a ton of power. It had 170 horsepower, but it was a 6-speed manual, had a sunroof, leather seats, had a nice stereo system, audiophile stereo system from the factory, and had 17-inch wheels. I actually bought mine, it had OZ rally wheels on it, which looked good. If I remember correctly, they were OZ Super Allegra. They were really good looking wheels, and once again, I bought this car to a price point. I set myself a budget, and I looked far and wide until I found the right one. I really wanted the blue. There was a Sonic blue color. I really wanted the Sonic blue, but could not find one. My second choice was black, and that was really the only two I was willing to take. But I found a black one. ZX3, so it was a 3-door. It was a 2-door hatchback. They had a ZX5, which was a 4-door hatchback, which one of my good friends had a ZX5. Actually, two of my good friends had ZX5s. Made them just a little bit larger, a little bit more livable on a day-to-day basis. So anyway, I had the ZX3, black, sunroof, leather. Mine had heated seats. I mean, super clean car. Jackson Racing made a supercharger for them. I actually bought a Jackson Racing supercharger for mine. Never got to put it on. I never opted to put it on, let me say that. Jackson Racing made the superchargers for a very short amount of time. I don't know why they stopped making them, but they made them for a very short amount of time, and it was hard to find them. I found one, sat on it for a little while, and then I was on the forums, and some guy wanted one, and he was willing to pay much more than I paid for mine. Of course, he was in like Minnesota or something, and I bought mine in South Carolina. So if I was willing to box mine up and send it to Minnesota, he was willing to pay a premium for it. So my short-sightedness, I said, well, I'll sell it and make a little bit of money. I did. And that's really probably my biggest problem is I can't pass up a good deal, and I never pass up an opportunity to make a little money. But at the same time that I had my SVT Focus, I actually bought my first F-150. It was a 2004 extended cab FX4 F-150. Awesome truck. But I had both cars at the same time, and I owned my SVT Focus for about 4 years, which is, for me, that's a long time to keep a car. So that really tells you how much I liked it. But my plan was to sell the SVT Focus and use that money to pay off the F-150, which I did. So I sold the Jackson Racing Supercharger. A couple months later, I ended up selling my SVT Focus. At the time, I wasn't sad to see it go. I wasn't forced to do it, but I sold it. And you know what? Still to this day, I miss that car. It wasn't the fastest. It didn't necessarily handle the best. It did handle pretty great. It didn't necessarily handle the best, but man, that was a fun car to drive. And there's just something to be said about, now I'm sure the Honda guys, the Honda, Acura, Mini Cooper, those guys, maybe Volkswagen Beetle could even fit in this category. You're not necessarily fastest, you're not necessarily the best cornering, but it's just a car that it's fun to just, every day you get in it, it puts a smile on your face. It's fun to ring it out, to hear the engine. You just can't beat it, and it's not replaceable. So I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of in a transition area with my fleet right now. I just sold my Wrangler, and I'm really thinking really hard about a Focus ST, adding a Focus ST to my fleet. And what I'm thinking about, this might be a whole other video series, is buying a salvage title one from Copart or IAAI and fixing it up. I've been dabbling with Copart for a while. I've got an account set up. I've got some money in my account. Made bids. Never won anything. So I'm thinking as soon as I make a transition to a new truck, maybe a salvage title ST Focus might be next on the list. Now, of course, I'd love to have an RS Focus, and they do pop up from time to time, but much like the SVT Raptors, they bring way too much money, even wrecked. So the STs are a little more pedestrian, a little more easily obtainable. So I'm thinking an ST Focus might be joining the fleet here sometime in the next year or two. Got to sneak that one past my wife. Maybe I accidentally bid on it and won it. Just bid on it just to see if I could. But anyway, so that's the second vehicle out of the top 3 that I do actually regret selling. And like I said, that car, I would have kept that car forever. Now looking back, it's just, you know, at the time it was nearing 100,000 miles, and those cars dropped in value by about 20% as soon as it hit 100,000 miles. So I thought it was the perfect time to get out from underneath it. It was. I got a premium. I got a premium price for it. But I really should have held on to it, just for the fun factor. So anyway, that's part 2. The number 1 vehicle that I regret selling, I'll make a video about that here soon. Thanks for watching, guys.